Hello everybody and welcome. Today, I usually I'd say hire for videos, but I'll just say videos that I do editing on. I usually do that, but this time we're not. I'm stuck in a hotel. I'm a very sick boy.
I have allergies.
I have COVID. So we're just gonna be doing this instead, which is fun, and I have nothing to do, so we're gonna do this. This is not necessarily based on if it's good or not. Obviously, if it's good, it goes higher. But something with character that might not be that good of a weapon can be S tier, and something that could be a good weapon that I hate could be F tier. And I'm noticing we'll go in order. But first off, let me just pop that down there. Can I add another? Add a row above. Okay, hold on, wait. This is F tier. This is Jotun. Now, anyone who uses this in Crucible either hates everyone or hates themselves. Regardless, to use it in Crucible is to forfeit your right to not be teabagged. If I see anyone using Jotun, I will instantly teabag them. The weapon requires a surprisingly lackluster amount of skill to use. And it is annoying because you can pretty easily kill it and then you just jump away, but it's just not fun to play against. I don't want to play against it. I don't think you want to play against it. Yeah, it just doesn't add anything. In PvE, it's not even used in PvE. This is the I told you. This is the only exotic in the game I don't have. Well, only weapon exotic in the game I don't have. And I purposely not bought it because I'm not a scumbag. So, you know.
The darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole.
Okay, moving on. We have Ace of Spades. I think that's an easy S tier. I mean, Cade 6, just so iconic. The weapon is really fun to use in Crucible and does require skill. It can be... with Mental Mord proc, it's really fun. It's really fun in PvE as well, though it's not as used as much. I mean, kinetic exotics just aren't that great. But Mental Mori is a fun perk to use with the explosion. Aesthetically, it looks really, really good. So, I mean, and then, again, Cade 6. Also, the Colonel ornament's really cool. I love that Colonel ornament. Salute to the Colonel. Yeah, so that's an S tier. Next up, we have Anarchy. That's another S tier. I swear they won't all be S tiers. Probably one of the most influential exotics in all of Destiny history. Meta since it came out, and then got even crazier during, I think it was not last season, whatever, when it could apply debuffs so everything did more damage. Yeah, it was absolutely busted. I mean, it was just a go-to to put on for any boss DPS. You just had to put on Anarchy. I mean, there were other strats at the time, but this was just... I mean, you could Billy and do more damage with the Izanagi's and Wendigo and stuff, but Anarchy was where it's at. Okay, next we have Arbalist. I'm going to put this... I want to put it in the B tier, because I actually do like this weapon quite a lot, but I'm going to put... Actually, no, I am. Because of the recent thing with the anti-barrier. It's very good for GMs. I originally used it in Crucible, and the aim assist on this thing was absolutely dumb. You could, if this was the head of a Guardian, you could shoot 5 hours away, and it'd be a headshot. I once shot, like, at the square of someone's back, and it hit their head. I don't know how that happened. It's just absolutely busted. And then it got a nerf on that, but it got a buff in PvP, or sorry, PvE. So it's pretty viable there now, so that's good. And yeah, just fun weapon. And the sound it makes is pretty good. Some people don't like it, but I think it's pretty good. Next up, we have Bad Juju. That's a D tier. Yeah, D tier. It's not necessarily bad. It's not actively bad. Has some use in PvP. No use in PvE. The perk is pretty cool, but it's just... I mean, that's just not the best I believe it's a 540 pulse, which just isn't the good pulse rifle, so it's not good for PvP. It can be used, and I have seen people use it and get really good at it. But it's just, I mean, it's okay. Next up, we have Black Talon. This one isn't used very much, but it is going to be a C tier. It does look really good, and it's really fun to play with as well, which is important. I mean, some exotics are just boring, like Baz Juju and, I don't know, Cold Heart. Shot to the heart! They're just kind of boring. But this one's always fun. I mean, you don't use it that often, but if you have to get sword kills, exotic sword kills, you're like, you know what, I'll throw in the Black Talon, it's fun. So, yeah, C tier. Next up, we have Actually, you know what? I'm moving that to A tier. We're moving that up. Do we want to move Arbalist? Yeah, there. We'll put it there. Next up, we have Borealis. I'm going to put this up here. It's more fun than Bad Juju, but it has literally no purpose. No one ever uses it. It's just not... It's not that good. I mean, it's a sniper that can change elements. But you don't really need that. I mean, you usually would use a primary to take out shields anyway. So it just doesn't really have that much use. Same for hard light. It's just not really that useful. So yeah. Next up we have Next up we have Cerberus, which is gonna be D tier, I think. It has its uses, as in being a funny weapon to pop on in Crucible. But it really isn't that special. It doesn't really have... I mean, it's a cool idea, but it doesn't really have an identity. Actually, no, I'm going to put that in F tier. It's kind of not... No, I'll put it in D tier. It's just nothing good. Okay, next we have Cold Heart. It's just not useful anymore. It just doesn't have a purpose at all. All of the trace rifles are really obsolete at this point, other than, you know, we'll get to that, but, you know, it was used in Argos to do damage for a long time, and that's really the only time I've ever used it. I have gotten kills with it in Crucible, not too bad, but just pretty okay overall. Okay, next up we have Crimson. I know a lot of people who use this thing in Crucible, and it can definitely get stuff done. But it's just isn't that good. Almost zero use in PvE, so basically all in PvP, and it's just not the best PvE weapon, I'd say. Or sorry, PvP weapon. There's definitely better hand cannons, 120s, 140s, and the perk is pretty cool. And the gun idea, a 3-burst hand cannon, is just really good, so that also gives it a lot. Next up, we have Darcy, which as much as I love to put in the B tier, it's another C tier weapon. It's under the shadow of Whisper, always will be. It was used for Scourge of the Past. People thought it might have to do more damage than Whisper, but that's only if your team was bad. So it got a little bit of use, not too much. Yeah, and it just doesn't really have a character. I mean, it's just a heavy sniper. Like, it doesn't... I mean, you lock onto targets and you do more damage. I mean, it's basically the perk is you do more damage, which isn't a perk. It just automatically procs that if you look at someone. And with the sniper rifle, that's a heavy sniper rifle, the only reason you're going to need more damage is when you're doing boss. Otherwise, you just kill them. So, you know, it's not really a perk. It's kind of... It's okay. It looks good, though. Next up, we have Deathbringer. That's gonna be A tier. It's gotten a lot better recently. It got a lot of hype coming into Season of the Splicer with its Catalyst. With the buff of the Catalyst, did a lot of damage. That was pretty good. It's not S tier. It is not legendary. It's, you know, it's an A tier. It's a good go-to. I still use it sometimes, but it's not S tier. Next up, we have Divinity. Now, that's a tough one. I'm going to put it in A tier. Again, not legendary, but it has been used more than this. It's a very... I mean, it's just bonus precision damage. If you use it, you pop it on, people shoot it, more damage. It isn't... I mean, I guess it is kind of an interesting gun. I just don't like trace rifles. I'm sorry. I hate trace rifles. Shot to the heart! So, yeah. And I don't think it will. I mean, obviously it'll be remembered, but I don't think it's really a defining gun like these two. Okay, carrying on. Ariana's Vow. I want to put that in A tier. It's gonna be a B tier. It's bloody fun to use. In Crucible, you can get some good builds with it, but it just doesn't have that much use, versatility. In PvE, Arbalist is just better at it. And in PvP, it's kind of hard to make it work. I played Trials, and people used empowering. It was a 3-stack of Warlocks using empowering rifts, and they just one-shot you with it. And that was maybe one of the most annoying Trials matches I've ever played in my life. And that's annoying, but other than that, it's really not that great. But it's really cool, so it can't be like C tier. Next up, Fighting Lion. That can be C tier. That can be C tier. Handheld grenade launcher was cool when it came out, which was year 1. Nowadays, not that cool. It looks great, but it's just really not that good. Not really used in PvE. PvP used a lot though, or not a lot, but sometimes. But like it has an identity, which is why it isn't really here. These don't really have an identity.
Shot to the heart!
This one does. So next up, Graviton Lance. I love Puss B tier. It's a C tier. Not that good. Really cool design. I use it in PvP a lot. Has no use in PvE at all. So it's gonna be there. Next up, Hard Light. I don't know. I'm gonna put it in D tier. It's another weapon that you don't really use. You don't come across it often. You kind of, I mean, you remember it's there, but it's just the same kind of gimmick as Borealis, but it doesn't even look cool. So, it's gonna go there. Next up, Izanagi. That's gonna be an S tier. I only recently got this weapon, but this weapon dominated in PvE content. It's really cool. You can Billy with it, which is probably the most DPS coming out of weapons. Obviously, as a Titan, you can one-shot everything. So, that's the most DPS ever, and that's been around for about 1.5 years now, but okay, Bungie. But this got nerfed recently, but it's still, it's a classic, so it's going to be there. Next up, we have the Monarch. That's going to be a B tier. Deadly in Crucible. And it has been used to PvE for some Nightfall builds. But it has a great identity. The Monarch. It's cool. It looks good. And it feels like an exotic. And that's definitely going to be a B tier. If it was a little bit more useful in PvE, probably A tier, but no, it's not. Next up, we have Acrius, Legend of Acrius. This is just a sick weapon. If you ever used this, it just feels good to shoot. You just feel like, and when it kills something, you just delete it. It's just gone, and that's really fun to use. I love every time I have an excuse to put on that weapon, I put it on. Because it's so fun to use. It's just the deleter, the shredder. So that's really fun. Next up, we have Leviathan's Breath. It's really cool. It's really cool, but it has zero purpose. It just doesn't. It doesn't have a purpose. It doesn't do anything remarkable. No, it's F tier. Or sorry, it's D tier. That's F tier. We'll bring that down. It's just really cool. It doesn't do anything. There's no use in PvP whatsoever. There's no use in PvE, but it is a really cool idea. And yeah, Hard Light though. Don't do anything. Lord of Wolves, really cool, great identity. Used in PvP sometimes. That's about it. Not used in PvE much. So there you go. In the C tier, we're gonna have Lumina. It's just kind of, that's just kind of it has identity, but it doesn't really do anything. So I'm gonna put that there. It's cool, but it doesn't really do much. Okay, Malfeasance. it has a massive identity. I mean, it was a meme gun. If this was Forsaken, it'd be on Yotun tier. Actually, no, it wouldn't. But recently, it's gotten pretty good with the Lucky Pants. I think we had to put in B tier just because of its legacy. It took a bloody long time to get. You had to play Gambit. It's terrible. It killed me. I'd play like 5 matches. Actually, I'm pretty lucky getting it. I know some people who have board stories of like playing 40 matches of Gambit. Which I just would never do. But it's cool. It has just so much identity. Like the slug shots, that's just really cool. So I think it goes there. Next up, I believe this is Merciless. Yeah, that's what it's called. That's gonna be a D tier. Not really any identity. It was used for a lot in DPS in year 1. One of the best for DPS in year 1, but just not that cool. It's not really used anymore. Any other fusion rifle is better with Vorpal, so it goes there. Hold on, let me take a sip of some water. Oh, my throat. We're good. Okay, next up, Mighty Multi-Tool. That's gonna be a B tier. I don't really like it. But I know a lot of people use it in PvP. No, it's C tier. People use it in PvP a lot. No use in PvE. But it's pretty good in PvP. I just don't like it, and it doesn't have much of an identity. Kind of just Scout Rifle. What's the perk? Hold on. Mighty Multi-Tool exotic perk. What is it? What's its exotic perk? Oh, you just keep your radar when aiming down sights? And it boosts... Yeah, that's pretty lame. Yeah, it's gonna go in C2. Next up, we have Monte Carlo. That's gonna be a D tier. I mean, it can be used in PvE build or PvP builds. No use in PvE, but it just isn't that cool. It's just an auto rifle that increased melee damage. So yeah. Next up, yeah, this is a easy S tier. From the best raid of all of Destiny. Absolutely amazing to use. It didn't have much use, but it felt really good. And then this season absolutely just dominated the meta. I mean, it just took over. 1,000 voices. It's just such a sick exotic. One of the coolest. Took me a long time to get it. That exotic. And when I got it, it was after, I believe, 43 chests, some odd, in Last Wish. But it was worth it, and I love that exotic. So yeah. Next up, we have Outbreak Perfected. That's going to be actually an A tier. A lot of people don't know about this. It was used a lot in Crown of Sorrow for DPS. We got with 6 people. That was really good. Good in Crown of Sorrow. Good in PvP. Fires like a laser beam. Looks really cool. Siva's great. That's just A tier. Braid Tech. There is a legendary weapon that does the exact same thing, except for it doesn't do fire damage or explosion damage. It goes here. It's pretty boring. Yeah. Prometheus Lens. It's cooler than Cold Heart, but it literally did nothing. It had that one time in Crucible where it was really good. Okay, I actually lost the footage for Rat King, Sleeper, Skyburner's Oath, and Risk Runner. Skyburner's Oath is an F tier because it is boring. Risk Runner is a B tier. I don't love it, but it is very good in PvE. And then obviously Sleeper is going to be an S tier. Iconic Destiny 1 weapon, used in Destiny 2 as well. Meta for the longest time until it was nerfed, but it's coming back. And then for Rat King, put an A tier because what really makes it not exotic is its identity. If it's, boring, then even if it's good, you kind of don't want to use it. But Rat King's fun, even though it isn't that viable. So that's why it's an A tier. I'm going to put as a C tier. I use this a lot in PvP, but it has 0 use in PvE. The perk is okay. It is really cool to use, and it is really fun to use, but it's just it's not really any higher. Next up, we have Sunshot. I'm going to put that as a B tier. It has a really good character. Has identity. Again, bringing up that word. It's like a catchphrase. And it's fun to use. I have not used it that much. I really haven't. But the times I have, I've really enjoyed using it. So, yeah, it's bloody cool. It's good in both PvE and PvP, which is very rare. Very few weapons are good in both. Outbreak is good in both. Arbalist is good in both. That's all I can see at the moment. There are some. Ace is good at both. Not really. Ace is only good at PvP. But the point is, it's there. So, yeah. Soros Regime. I personally hate this weapon. It is not fun to use. It's not fun to look at. It's not fun to hear. It's not fun to play against. I don't like it. It has no character. It doesn't do anything. It can speed up as you shoot, which isn't that cool. Let's go there. That's an A tier. I use this gun a lot in PvP. It is one of my most used PvP kills. You think I'm joking? I have like 700 kills with this thing, which isn't a lot for some people, but it's a lot for me. And PvP especially. It is defining of an exotic. It is cool. It is different. And it's not just an auto rifle. It goes to the next level. What if an auto rifle was a machine gun? It was the first machine gun before there were machine guns, like literal machine guns, like Heir Apparent. It was a machine gun that just was classified as an auto rifle.
That is the weirdest thing you have ever said.
It's fun to use. That's about it. It's fun to use, so it's going there. Next up is Teraba. As much as I like to put this in C tier, it's kind of a D tier weapon. It's really not that good. It has some uses in PvP. Some people have gotten a lot of success with it. If you proc that perk, it is very good. And PvE, it's worthless. So yeah. Telesto. S tier for the glitches it's caused and impact on the community. But in reality, it's kind of like a B tier. It does have a identity, but it's not that good. Pretty good use in PvP, not great in PvE. It obviously has a lot of glitches it could do, which is really funny. But it's not actually that makes it A tier, but it's not actually that good. Next up, Chaperone. This is gonna be an A. This is a high A tier. Hold up, that's like a low A tier or a high B. I'm putting that low. This is a high A tier. This is the highest A tier there is. I'm putting up here. It has been meta since it came out. People have used it since it came out. It's really fun to use. It sounds great. It has a great identity. It's good in PvP. Worthless in PvE, but is really good. I believe it's the first slug shotgun. It feels good. It's just everything about that weapon is great. And it's one of the few weapons that never really dropped off. Ace of Spades has dropped off. Anarchy has dropped off. This has dropped off. This did drop off. This also dropped off. Deathbringer was terrible when it came out. That hasn't dropped off. That dropped off. Dropped off. Dropped off. Dropped off. Dropped. Everything here has dropped off. That has always been a good choice. It's always been a good thing to run. I've used it. It feels very fun to use, and it's just really good weapon. It's probably one of the best, but just not really touching these up here. Okay, we have Colony. That kind of a D tier, just not that interesting. It's okay. It's cool with the crawling stuff, and it's really annoying in PvP. Not really Jotun tier though. So next up we have Huckleberry. A lot of people use it in PvE. I really didn't. I'll put it in C tier to make some people happy, but I don't really use it that much. It is fun to use though. So Jade Rabbit, that's just an F tier. It's not. It doesn't really have an identity. It was in D1, but it's not that interesting. So it's just an F tier. Okay. Last word. That's going to be an A tier. Very useful in PvE. Or PvP, sorry. Not useful in PvE. Great identity. It's really cool to use. I don't really like it, but it's good. It's very, very good. Very iconic. So yeah, it's up there in A tier. Prospector, F tier. Literally, I've used it once because someone told me it was good for DPS Riven. They were completely wrong. It was terrible. doesn't have really anything going for it. So, you know. Queensbreaker, not that interesting. It's a linear fusion rifle. I believe it has an exotic perk. I think it changes the scope you use. But I'm not quite sure what that actually does. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. So, you know. Okay, next up, Thorn. Okay, this is either the lowest S tier or the highest A tier. This one's tough. I think I gotta put in S tier. It is very, very iconic. Now, this barely hangs on to S tier, but it's very iconic. Great for PvP. The best thing to come out of Season of the Drifter by far. Literally the best thing. It's great. I don't use this weapon that much, but it's really fun to use. Next up, we have Wardcliffe. That's gonna be an A tier. It's always been used. It's always had some glitches. It was used in Spire Stars. It was used in Year 1. It's been used recently for like Gorgon's glitches and stuff. It's just a fun weapon to use. Great identity. It's just a rocket launcher that shoots like 50 rockets. It's just fun. So, next up we have Thunderhead. I really forget about this weapon a lot. Like it's probably my least favorite exotic because I never, like, you know, with Hard Light, okay, it's Year 1. This one, you know, okay, it had that week. This one, meme. This one, people use it. This one, some people say it's good. Prospector, it's a meme. Queensbreaker's a meme. This is just so not used. And not used enough that it's just fallen into obscurity. No one cares about it. So it's just down there. Ooh, Tractor Cannon. That's gonna be high A tier. That's gonna be high. No, it's S tier. It's been great for dealing extra damage. It is fun to use. It used to just boop. Now it does, you know, it does the suppressing. It's just been used for DPS for so long nowadays. It's just great fun to use. Perfect exotic. One of the best exotic. Treaty Ghoul S tier. Absolutely great identity. It is very interesting. It's one of the best PvE weapons in the game. For ad clearing, completely destroys anything. If you have any ads in any raids, they're gone once they look down the sights of this absolute beast. I have 60,000 kills with this weapon. It's my favorite exotic. Yeah, that's an S tier, easy. Next up we have Truth. That's gonna be a C tier. No, it's gonna be a D tier. It's really not that good. It was, people thought it was good for PvP. It really wasn't. I mean, Wardcliffe's is better. It has tracking. The quest was cool, but I mean, that's basically it. Okay. This is going to be C tier. Slightly more interesting than that, but still not that useful. But it was really cool. It shoots 2 rockets. That's really good. Vision Swing. People swear by this weapon. I don't like it. I think No Time to Explain and the other exotic pulses are better. Well, except for Bad Juju. But, it has been used since it came out, which is not a lot of guns find themselves in that when they actually are being used. It's going to be a C tier. Wave Splitter. I'm going to put that in D tier. I've used this weapon, and I think it's actually quite good. I think it's the best of the trace rifles other than Divinity. But it really doesn't have... it's just a trace rifle, so... We know where this is going. Whisper the Worm, the most S tier weapon. It is the crown jewel, magnum opus, definition of Destiny. It is a fantasy weapon that shoots bullets, that has a cool thing attached to it. That is just purposely encompasses what Destiny is, what it strives to be. Absolutely meta for Last Wish, Crown of Sorrows. It has dropped off, but it's coming back. They said it's going to be good in Witch Queen. So it's just absolute game defining. Absolutely one of my favorite exotics. It looks absolutely amazing. So Wish Ender. That's going to be a C tier. No, it's going to be a D tier. It was used to break the eggs and it's never used since. So, Warline Zero. That's going to be I'm going to put it in B tier. Really only used for speed running, but it is a really cool exotic. It does have a character. It does have a identity, and it's just really cool. Xenophage, probably an A tier if it kept up with its status. It probably would have been S tier, but it's kind of dropped off recently. Not really used as much anymore. So yeah, it's gonna go to A tier. Bastion.
That's a cube of garbage.
That goes in the Yotun tier. If you use Bastion, you're dumb. I don't like you. It has no skill to use. You charge it up, and you kill from 75 meters. That has bloody crazy damage. So, yeah, Yotun. F tier. Or, actually, Yotun tier. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Okay, Devil's Ruin. That's going to be a C tier. It is bad in PvE, not good in PvP. Has identity, so it's going to go there. Symmetry, D tier. No, F tier. It doesn't do anything. It is boring. So there you go. Ooh, Fourth Horseman. That's going to be an A tier, easy, or really cool. It was used for Crown of Sorrows. Not good in PvP, but used in PvE for Crown of Sorrows. That's about it. But it's really fun to use with Catalyst 5 per shotgun. That just is absolutely fun. Not that good, but it is really cool. Okay, Tommy's Matchbook. That's going to be a D tier. No one uses this for anything at all. It is boring. It's not fun to use. It doesn't feel good to use. So, yeah, D tier. Heir Apparent. C tier only because it was used in Crucible. I don't like using in Crucible. I think it's cheesy. It's annoying to play against, play with. So, yeah, D tier. Traveler's Chosen. C tier. That's also C tier. People use this for PvE and also PvP, but I really haven't touched it. I don't really like most exotic sidearms, except for Rat King. They're pretty lame overall, so yeah. A Wither Horde. That is probably a... Yeah, we're going to go. That's the highest A tier. Higher than Chappie. It's just funny. It's a funny weapon. It's good and it's cheesy and it's just I don't like it, but I really do. So it's gonna go up in A tier. Ruinous Effigy, that's what it's called. If you've forgotten, that's an F tier. Really has no character. It had a cool quest, but it's boring. You shot Savathun's eyes. That's it. Cloud Strike, that's what it's called. That's gonna be a D tier. No, C tier. It's really cool. It has great identity, but it's just not that... Actually, no, it's good for PvP. I take that back. I haven't put anything into B tier recently. Yeah, well, nothing really fits into B tier so far. No, it doesn't. Duality, that's going to be a D tier. It's not really that much, or it's not that much used. Yeah. Okay, 100 eyes. What's it called? I know the cyber optics it's whatever. Eyes of Tomorrow. There you go. B tier. It's a really cool exotic, and it's pretty useful. It does good damage, so it's gonna go up in B tier. That's gonna go A tier. I love this weapon in Crucible. It's absolutely amazing. Crucible, one of the best weapons in the game. Salvation's Grip, F tier, literally the most used exotic in the game. I'm not even going to talk about it. I don't want to. That's an A tier. That's an A tier. S tier maybe? No, A tier. Absolutely adore this weapon. Very fun to use. Great. It's literally a chainsaw sword. I mean, what more could you ask for than a chainsaw sword? Absolutely beautiful. Hawkmoon, people are going to kill me. It's a B tier. It is a B tier. It was good in D1. It's not as good. Using PvP. Doesn't feel that great. Not using PvE. There you go. That's it. That's an A tier. Move it up to A tier. almost an S tier. Absolutely dominates in PvP. It's absolutely busted in PvP. I don't know why it's so good in PvP. Then you nerf it in PvP instead of buffing it like they did. But yeah, up in A tier. That's a great weapon. TQs, I adore this weapon. It is an A tier. It is so overlooked. It's great for Nightfalls. It's fun in PvP, fun in PvE. Absolutely adore this weapon. Not the best exotic bow, but it's overlooked. It's definitely one overlooked. Cryosthesia, that's going to be a D tier. It's almost an F tier, but it's not. Pretty boring overall. Yeah, okay, Vex Mythoclast, that's an A tier. That's an A tier. It is great to use in PvE and PvP. There you go. That's it. Okay, Lawrence Driver is going to be a C tier. It's not that interesting, really. Aegir Scepter is going to be a B tier. Also not that interesting, but it has use. Forerunner, I don't really like it. I'm going to put it in C tier. Gallihorn, that is an A tier. No. I don't know, because we're talking about D2 exotics. And in D2, no, it's S tier. It's Gallihorn. I can't really argue with that. Okay, now what we're going to do, okay, so we're basically going to read this like a book down. We're going to go and order all these now that we have them all in. So if it's closer to this, it's the higher, and if it's at the bottom. So okay, that's going to be the final rankings. Comment down below what you agree with, what you disagree with. Sorry for all the Monsters Inc. memes I watched recently. Such a good movie. This took a lot of effort, surprisingly. I didn't think it would, but leave a like, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!